Hey everybody, so we're going to do our lure review this week like I promised on the Smithwick Rogue here. There's a lot of different rip baits in this family of rogues, and I'm going to try to go over most of them, but we're going to focus on these two shallow diving baits that we have here in front of us. So let's check them out. Alright guys, so the Smithwick Rogue. Smithwick basically makes two different style baits. They make jerk baits, and then they make a topwater prop bait, which is called the Devil's Horse, and I'll have to do a review on that maybe coming up here in the spring. But for now, we're going to focus on the Rogue, and the Rogue comes in many different styles. They have floating versions, suspending versions, big versions that they call the Super Rogue. They have deep diving versions. They call them spoonbills. So they have several different kinds. The one that we have in front of us is called the Suspending Limited Rogue, and the Limited Rogue basically comes with some finishes that are a little bit different. I suppose they might be a little bit better or a little bit more sought after finishes. I don't know, but they have some slightly different finishes than the regular Suspending Rogues, and they also come with Gamakatsu hooks standard. I have taken the Gamakatsu hooks off and replace them with owner stingers, but these are the Gamakatsu hooks that they come with standard, and they're actually nice hooks. They're sharp and they're strong, but I prefer the owner stingers myself, especially when they're not plated like this Gamakatsu hook isn't. But they are nice, and I think they're only, these rogues, the limited rogues, are only $1 more. I think they're like $6.99 as opposed to $5.99. So it's still a decent price. And like I said, or if I haven't said it already, the Smithwick Rogues, I mean, this is an old school bait. I mean, this goes back to like the Rapala original floating lure. This is like the original rattling, suspending rip bait. That if you wanted a rip bait back in the day, this was the one that you had. I mean, before all the weight transfer systems that you find in all the brand new baits and all the cool little technology features that you find in all these new baits, this was the one back in the day. So you're gonna find the bait not to be very glamorous, I guess, but it works very, very well. It's actually very effective. One thing that is a popular choice for people to do, because it is a suspending lure, actually the limited one is, but what people do is, because it's not a true suspending lure, it'll actually slowly float to the surface. So some people like to replace their hooks with, like this one comes with number 6 size. They replace them with a size up, so you go to like a number 5, and that'll help it suspend a little bit more. And I got a tip from a buddy of mine that he likes to take the front hook and replace it with a bigger hook. So if you have number 6s on here, you put a number 5 in the front, and that'll help it rake down a little bit. Now, I find that this bait, it does have that nice nose down position inside the water. Some people want it to be a little bit more aggressive like that. This one is a little bit more subtle. It's kind of just very slightly raked. So I think the way that you can combat that is just by adding split rings to the front here, or like he said, just put a bigger size hook on the front. And now when you put higher quality hooks on here, generally higher quality hooks have thicker wires, and I mean this generally, they have thicker wire hooks, and what that does is it makes the bait a little bit heavier, so that'll help it suspend a little bit better in the water as well. So I didn't see, I mean, this was like, for me when I was fishing it, it has like an extremely slow float in the water, so it's almost perfect. I bet if I were to take, because these are number 6s on here that I replaced the 6s with 6s. But I bet if I put a number 5 on the front, it would be just about perfect in the water. And other people, what they'll do is they'll put lead tape on here too. You can put like a little piece of lead tape right here on the front, and that'll help it a little bit too. I'm not really into the lead baits thing. I mean, if I have to get that far into it, then I mean, I've got plenty of other rip baits that'll do the job, I'm sure. So that's just my 2 cents about it. Now, the Limited Rogue comes in 2 different sizes. They have a 4.5 inch model and then a 5.5 inch model. This one is the ASDRB 1600, and this is 4.5 inches in length, It has a weight of 3/8 of an ounce, and it has a diving depth of 0 to 6 feet. Now, the 0 to 6 feet, I think that's kind of arguable because I find it to go, I mean, 0 to 6 feet, I guess you would be right if you were anywhere in between. But I find it to be more like a 2 to 3 or a 2 to 4 foot diving depth for me. Now, the next one is the bigger one, and that's a ASDRC 1600. And that has a length of 5.5 inches, and it has a weight of 1/2 ounce, and it has a diving depth of 0 to 6 feet as well. But those the hooks on that one are number 4 because it is a bigger bait. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do our measurement here. My measurement without the ring on the front and without the ring on the back is 4.5 inches, just like it says. But when you include both rings, it's 4 3/4 of an inch in overall length. So let me go over the colors here. The first color I'm going to show you is called Nuclear Clown. And Nuclear Clown is just like your basic clown pattern. The difference between this clown and the regular suspending rattling rogue clown is that the red on the head of it goes further back, where on the regular suspending rattling rogue it goes just about right here. So that's basically the difference. It's got a little bit of chartreuse or yellow on the back, kind of gold on the back. It's got a white belly, silver sides, and a really pronounced red head with a shad dot, and then it's got these 2 kind of magenta dots here on the belly. So I don't know what that's all about. And if you look at the eyes, they come with red eyes on the limited rogues. So they're a little bit different in that respect as well. So the limited rogues have red eyes as opposed to the yellow eyes on the regular ones. So, and they're just painted on. I mean, like I said, this is an old school bait. It doesn't have like your 3-dimensional holographic eyes or anything like that. So nothing crazy about this bait. So there's Nuclear Clown. The next one I have, you can't find on their website, and I'm having a hard time finding it on the internet altogether. I've had it for a little while. I showed it to you guys last week when I was doing the Excalibur XS4 review. And I think this is just called bass. It might be called baby bass. It's definitely a limited rogue. So I know it's a finish that isn't in the regular rattling rogue lineup. But bass, we'll just call it bass, has kind of a dark black stripe going down the center, but it's kind of thin. You can't really see it with the lighting that I have here. But then it fades into this nice scale pattern, a painted scale pattern that's on here. It also has the regular scale pattern, which you can see here, but then it also has a painted on scale pattern there. So you have your painted scale pattern there, and then you've got your regular embossed, I guess, scale pattern here. So, and then you've got this horizontal, what would be the bass line that's on there. Okay, and then just the white belly fading into kind of like an olive green upper side here. So we'll just call this one bass just because I can't find the name of it anywhere, and comment on it if you know for sure what it is. So there's bass. Alright guys, so just kind of going over some of the features here. Like I said, they don't have any 3-dimensional eye or anything. It's just a painted on eye. And the eye on the limited rogue is a little bit different because, like I said, it's red and the other ones are yellow. If you look at the bill, let's look at the bill on this one because this one's all scratched up. Looking at the bill on this one, you can see it says Suspending Rogue and Smithwick. So that's how you can tell when they're versus the floating ones, because the floating ones look exactly the same. So if you have a floating one, you can just look right on the bill and they say suspending or they say floating. You can actually see the S right up underneath the body of the bait on the bill. It says an S right there. So, And then the scale pattern that's on here, it is like an embossed or molded in scale pattern that's in there, but the scales, you can't really feel them on the finish of the bait because it seems like the finish is kind of glazing over that. So, but it is on there. So it is a three-dimensional, if you will, scale pattern that is molded into the bait. So they have I find the Smithwick Rogues to have a little bit more of an erratic action. They definitely have a subtler action than like a pointer. But as far as the Rogue versus the review that we did last week with like the erratic shad or the XS4, I find that these have maybe just a little bit more action, and I don't know if that's because they don't have more weight in them, because this is the same size, but it's only 3/8 of an ounce as opposed to the erratic shad, which is a 1/2 ounce. So I don't know if the 1/2 ounce versus the 3/8 of an ounce makes the erratic shad have less action than the Rogues here, but I do find the Rogues have more action in the water, and they are lighter. I don't find them to cast terrible. They do helicopter if you don't do an underhand roll cast, but the casting seems to be okay, especially for a 3/8 ounce bait. And they do have rattles. They actually have a nice rattle in there. They're very loud. It seems like there's a lot of space inside of the bait for those rattles to just bang around all over the place. So they actually have a nice sounding rattle system that's inside of there. So there they are, guys. The Smithwick Rogues. This review is been a long time coming, because this is a very popular and old school rip bait right here. So check them out. On a side note, Tackle Warehouse finally shipped my back-ordered items, so I should have those. I thought I would have them today, which was the reason why I didn't put my review out yesterday, because I thought I was going to have the baits in today, so I figured I would show them to you on camera. But the mail came and they weren't in the mail, so we'll just have to wait until next week. So I'm sure I'm going to be doing my review on the ABT X2 next week, or the Bagley Balsa B. We're going to do one of those two next week, and more reviews to come. I've got some other stuff coming that I'm going to be reviewing. I've got I do want to do that I'm a Rumba, that wake bait. I want to do that one. So there's a lot of reviews that I want to do, and then I'm going to be placing my order here next week, either next week or the following Monday. So in like 9 or 10 days, I'm going to be placing my rip bait order. So we got a Tackle Warehouse unboxing that we're going to do. So we got a lot of videos coming out, and then on top of that, we've still got all of our fishing videos that we're doing. So stay tuned for all that. It's going to be cool. We're going to have a lot of new stuff coming out, a lot of new content for our channel. So check it out, and thanks for watching, and thanks for supporting the channel, you guys. Talk to you soon.